Hello everyone and welcome back to Winston Reviews, the only show on YouTube where I'm in a different location than usual because I'm on holiday. So yeah, I'm here in Benbecula for my holiday. So as you can see I'm on air with me. I've also brought my camera stand with me. But I actually forgot to bring the plug for my camera, for my light in. So my light doesn't work. So yeah, the only light that's coming from the room is from that lamp over there. But anyway, this video is not about me talking about my lamp, even though I'm sure a lot of you guys really want to be talking about that. Today we're going to be continuing the X-Men review series with X-Men: The Last Stand from 2006. Now, I've seen a lot of people really hating on this movie, calling it like the worst X-Men movie or one of the worst X-Men movies. And while this fall like the lower half of the X-Men ranking for me, I don't think it's a bad movie. It definitely has a lot of issues with it. I don't think it's like a fantastic movie misunderstood. There's definitely quite a bit I just don't like about it. It's definitely like of terms of all the movies, it's the weakest so far. I don't say it's not super bad, but definitely compared to the first two, I don't think it's just as good as them. I think the first big issue with this movie is kind of the virus in itself, like the virus that's like it'll turn mutants make mutants not have powers anymore. And in theory, that should be a very like interesting concept to be like, oh, okay, so what's gonna happen to our main characters and stuff. But then you realize that this isn't really leaked anywhere because none of our main characters, get like infected or I know, and not really infected. That's the wrong word, but they never get they never get the virus in them. I know that Mystique gets it, but like she's more an antagonist, and she didn't really have much of a big role in this movie as the other ones. Like if you're gonna have like a big virus, or I should probably something that's not really a virus. If you have a thing that like makes like mutants lose their powers, and you don't use it on any of the main characters, yeah, it's kind of like pointless at that point. I know that Rogue did get one. The thing is, at the end of the movie, we see like Magneto's power start coming back, which means that the whole like this whole mutant thing about like the mutants like losing their powers was completely useless because Rogue's powers just gonna come back any day now. So her entire storyline for this movie is ruined. It's also kind of sad when you think about it, because all she wanted to do was have normal powers. She wanted to be a normal person. But talking about the virus in this movie, I know it's not a virus, but I just constantly get the words to say. It's hot, guys. It's hot. It's summer. It's hot. I'm tired. Okay, because like her entire storyline is she wants to have normal powers, right? And obviously, by this movie, she has normal abilities. She doesn't have any like super powers or anything like that, which is great. But knowing that Magneto's power comes back, it just makes her storyline feel kind of sad because it's just like, oh, her powers are going to come back. The things that she didn't really want, which were her powers, they're just going to come back. So it's just kind of a bit, upset to me. So wait, overall, this whole like, mutant superpower thing is interesting concept, but I feel like it lacks execution. I also feel like it's like a little bit overshadowed by like Phoenix and Jean, because like they're trying to bring that into, and I think like I feel like the Phoenix / Jean Grey storyline is like feels more important, that the virus storyline just kind of was overshadowed basically side villains in these movies, and how usually like the main villain or villains, like the one or two major ones, are usually like pretty much the coolest characters in the movie. They're really interesting villains, and then the other side villains are just like, yeah, they're just kind of there, you don't really care about them. In the first film, we had Sabretooth, who was just kind of an okay villain. In the second film, we had the guy from Succession, who again was an okay villain. And in this movie, we got like four more characters I can't even, and I don't even remember who any of them were because they're just so bland and boring. The only side villains I remember were the Juggernaut and whoever this woman is. That's the only characters I know. And when I don't even know what this character's name is, that shows you how bad your movie is. Okay, I like without researching, I could tell you who the side villains in X1 and X2 are, but I couldn't tell you the villains in X3 are. That shows you how forgettable they are. Or we're talking about the characters of this movie, I feel like that the most confusing character here is Warren / Angel. So he's part of these like superheroes who getting their powers taken away and all that, and is kind of an interesting character. I mean, like he's on the main poster and everything, he's like a very important character and all, but he doesn't do anything. If you take away his storyline, nothing changes the movie. The only thing he does is save his dad in the final battle, and that's basically it. Apart from that, he doesn't add anything to the franchise. Like, yeah, he comes back in X-Men Apocalypse, but again, did anyone root for him? Oh, guys, look, it's Angel from X3, guys, isn't this crazy? He returns in X-Men Apocalypse. Guys, you gotta love this, right? I feel like Warren could have been a very interesting character if they, introduced him a bit more, and maybe if they even just like expand on him more in Days of Future Past as well. But he just kind of appears here, and he's just kind of like, okay, like he was just kind of there. He's always like the side villains in this movie. Like you're just kind of like, yeah, he was there. But not all the characters in the movie are bad. I do really like Beast here, and I think Beast is definitely the best new character here that's introduced. Now, technically, Beast did have a cameo in X2, but just like Colossus in X1, that was just a very minor cameo that no one paid attention to. So I'm not counting that as his first appearance. Because Beast, he's one of the biggest X-Men in the franchise. He's appeared in, I think, like 4 movies from this. He appeared in all of the First Class movies. And yeah, I really do like Beast. He's a very great character. I liked his relationship with Mystique in the future movies. Yeah, I just think that his character overall is very, he's just a very interesting character. Really enjoyed him. And definitely of all the new characters in this movie, he's my favorite here. Now, as for like the Dark Phoenix / Jean side of the story, I'm very neutral on it. I'm not like a big comic guy. I don't know how like accurate it is to the original comics. I don't know if fans really love it or anything. But I thought it was okay. It was pretty good. As far as I was concerned, I found it very interesting that Cyclops and Charles Xavier were going to die here, or it's not were going to die. They did die in this movie because both of them are like very important characters, and obviously we expect that when you get into like the end of a trilogy or franchise, major characters are going to die. But it's still like kind of sad, like, oh, they died. It's kind of sad, especially with Cyclops. And Cyclops like I say he's definitely like in like kind of the big 3 of the original trilogy. Like Wolverine, Cyclops, and Jean Grey. Those 3 are kind of like the main 3. I know I have Charles Xavier, all that, but like those 3 are kind of like, in my opinion, like kind of the big 3 of the original trilogy in a way. So it's just kind of sad, see them go. It's just like, well, they just kind of died there. It's kind of sad. Okay, I'm getting too hot in here, so I'm going to open the window. And I know this is going to ruin the lighting I have, but to be honest, no one cares about the lighting here anyway, so I think we're good. Now, one of my biggest problems with the first 2 movies was the whole love triangle between Cyclops, Jean, and Wolverine. And that was kind of mainly because, like, I wasn't, I liked Cyclops and Jean, but I wasn't big on Wolverine and Jean. Like, I just didn't think Wolverine and Jean were, like, good couple here. I didn't, like, hate them together, but I don't know. I just didn't really feel them as a couple. And in this movie, they share a kiss. You can understand why I would dislike that scene. As I said, I don't hate them together. They're not like, they're like, a snake and a rock. It's not like there are 2 things that should never go together. I just was never interested in, their whole, like, I just never thought they were, like, characters. I was like, oh, they should get together. I was never, like, one who was, like, actively rooting for them to get together. I was just like, okay, yeah, they're together, you know what I mean? No, as I said, I don't think this movie is completely bad. It's not like a movie I hate. There are some good things about it. I think stars is Wolverine. Now, Wolverine is clearly the best of the X-Men, and if you don't agree, then you get out of this door because you're objectively wrong. But I feel like if Wolverine was in this movie, I would dislike it much more, because Wolverine's just such a cool character that his, like, presence in this movie, like, raises up a bit. Like, if he wasn't in this movie, I would probably have this much lower. In my ranking, have the score much lower. But because Wolverine is here, I think that saves it from going any lower, because that's just how cool he is. I'm not going to spoil my review for the next X-Men movie, but you'll see that Wolverine helps quite a bit with X-Men Orange Wolverine. He helps that quite a bit from getting a lower rating as well. Now, obviously, this wasn't the final X-Men movie, and I know they originally intended this to be the final one, and then they decided to make all the spin-offs and everything, or if they did intend for like a 4th or 5th film or whatever. But I do kind of like how this ends. It's like a very good cliffhanger type of ending. I think it is a very solid ending for a trilogy. It's not like a perfect ending or anything, but it is a ending that I do like for this whole trilogy. I think if the trilogy ended here, it wouldn't be like a awful ending. It would be an ending that I hated. nor being anything that I absolutely loved. I think it was again a very decent ending to the trilogy overall. But yeah, that's my thoughts on X-Men: The Last Stand. Definitely the weakest of the three movies so far. I would give it like a 3 to a 3.5 out of 5. So yeah, definitely it's the weakest so far. All three of them, it goes X2, X1, The Last Stand for me. That's kind of how I rank them. But as I said, this is not a bad movie. I mean, that score, 3.5 out of 5, that's still a pretty good score. I feel like the issues in this movie bother me more than the issues in the first two. Like, the first two movies might have had a few issues, but I was like, okay, I can get past a lot of them. Quite a lot of the issues here I can't really get past, like the bland villains or the count, like, Warren not really lead to anything, you know. But yeah, listen, this wasn't a bad movie at all. I do think it is pretty good. It would definitely fall near the bottom of my ranking, but I don't think it's a bad movie whatsoever. Just because it's near the bottom doesn't mean it's a complete bad movie. Well, guys, that's it for the review. I hope you guys enjoyed. Maybe you don't. I don't know. I can't control if your enjoyment level. Going to take a little break from the X-Men reviews. We're still going to be doing them, but the next review will actually be for a bonus movie review. We're going to be reviewing a film outside of the X-Men franchise. Can't get a little interlude before we get to X-Men Orange Wolverine, and that would be good because that movie is not good at all. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all for the Terminator review. Goodbye.